everybody. My name is Craig. This is Bass Lessons Melbourne, and today I have the honour of being joined by Doug Wimbish.
Hey.
He's here with Living Colour. Doug.
Craig, pleasure to meet you.
And you, man. It's an honour to have this time with you. I know you've got a busy schedule. You're down here with Living Colour, obviously, doing a double headline with Extreme.
Mm-hmm.
What's that like?
That's been great.
Yeah.
You know, we started off in the States, did a month, came down here, and continuing the good vibe. We also played in New Zealand, Auckland, with just Living Colour. So it's been a great run. Both bands are very compatible. Nuno's fantastic. The combination of Living Colour and Extreme works.
Yeah. Have you guys done stuff in the past? Have you crossed? No.
Vernon and Nuno did a camp that Tom Morello organized, and that was a moment that helped spark this moment right now.
Okay.
So, but it's been really, really good. Both bands, the combination of the two, some of that is just good music.
And big audiences.
Oh yeah.
People are turning out.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, it's
awesome.
sellouts and good vibes. People are happy, and it's a great, great musical experience. Check it out.
As soon as I saw it announced, the tickets went on sale, I grabbed it because Stain and Porno Graffiti were two of the albums that I listened to a lot when I was young. So I'm excited. I wanted to kick off asking you a little bit about your experience with Jeff Beck, because obviously we lost him tragically recently.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Yeah.
Tough. Well, it was Jeff Beck that really elevated me to another level. Being able to be a part of his band with Simon Phillips and Jan Hammer was a wonderful experience. Just to be around Jeff, his organization, to be able to perform those shows. Jimmy Hall was singing vocals from that whole experience was just great. I think about our gigs in Japan, and it's just one moment in time.
Yeah.
It was Jeff that was able to get me into the door of Mick Jagger and into the ears of other folks that were maybe not familiar with what I was doing as a bassist. When you play with Jeff, it just gives you some good credentials.
For sure, I mean, yeah.
And it's a highlight, you know, that really opened my eyes up to the industry on another level. And I'm still learning to this day how to be able to stay involved in the industry on that level. So thanks, Jeff, and the knowledge I learned from him is
and musically,
it's great.
He's such a kind of free spirit in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you felt like you resonated with him on?
It just naturally happened. You know, I did his Flash record. It was Arthur Baker that basically brought us together.
Mm-hmm. One
thing led to another. But when I actually got in his band and with Simon and Jan, I understood how the people that Jeff had chose to be a part of his band, how involved they were. Like Simon was very involved. He was kind of like the one that was kind of keeping everything in play. And I followed his lead. And Jan Hammer was just phenomenal. Jeff and Jan just having that ongoing conversation was, it was a true life experience. So, but to watch him play, with how he approaches the instrument, just watching, I learned a lot about finding your individual way of presenting tones and sounds. Find your way. Jeff had that individual frequency that only Jeff Beck could do. And learned a lot. Learned a lot. You know, he didn't necessarily play with a pick. His technique was quite unique. And there's nobody that I had met and probably will ever meet that had that kind of frequency.
Yeah.
Played with that style.
Yeah, he's sadly missed for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then another guitar player that I wanted to ask you about, a big favourite of mine, your time with Joe Satriani. I know he was influential in giving you the whammy pedal and that journey. But The Extremist was one of my favourite albums that Joe did. There's just so many beautiful melodies on that. What was that experience like?
Well, I met Joe at the NAMM show in Chicago. Must have been 1980. Was it? Maybe 86.
Not too long ago.
Not too long ago. I got to get my time. Okay, it was like around 1986. Anyway, from the time we hooked up, it was always cool. Joe was a huge fan of my band Tackhead.
Right.
From over in the UK. He's a huge fan. He was living in San Francisco. So that just kind of kicked it off. And next thing you know, we come to some Tackhead shows. And Tackhead hat, he wore that hat for a while. And
nice.
Anyway, and I kind of helped usher Joe in when Jeff Beck decided he didn't want to be a part of, lead Mick Jagger's solo band. I had recommended Joe as a guitar player. And it took a minute for folks to come around, and finally, things aligned, and next thing you know, Joe's in the band. So we both had that opportunity to experience at that level working with Mick Jagger and the machine that's in play. And also Joe was connected with Bill Graham and Mick Brigden. So there's a good frequency. After the tour with Mick, I got invited to play on Joe's solo record, and that was with Simon, parts of the band, Phil Ashley, and that was a great experience. We recorded that record in Bearsville up in Woodstock, New York, and it was one of those great experiences. Joe's very engaged in the songs, and he's just one of those players that's so deep, so good that you find a way how to give a person like Joe the frequencies that he needs. So, for example, we're doing some of the demos. He already played bass on it, precision bass with a pick. His sweeping is second to none. Learned a lot about playing with a pick by emulating some of the stuff that Joe did on demos, and watching and seeing how he approached it. The spacing, the rhythm, where he's angling the pick, where it's positioned. Is the pick near the bridge? Is he, how's his hands? Where's his right hand positioned? And it's you learn from watching and seeing people play. So whether it's a guitar player, bass player, it doesn't matter. He was nailing the part. I wanted to give him exactly what he wanted. So had fun making that record. And he's a lifelong friend. Yeah. That's the key.
Good friend to have.
Yeah, lifelong friend.
Yeah. So were you actually playing with a pick or kind of doing pick-style sounds with the fingers?
Depending on what the song was.
Yeah.
Some songs were ballads just playing with, finger style, but there was one song, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a very articulate, had to be played with a pick. Precision was the instrument to play it with.
Yeah.
Because it had that groove. It had that swing. And it's almost like certain players just, when they play with a pick or their fingers, they have a certain swagger. Like Bobby Vega, classic example, great bass player. He can play with a pick, he can play with his fingers. He's got that perfect, San Francisco swagger when he's playing. And Joe had a very unique swagger when he was playing bass with a pick. I liked it.
Yeah.
And it was a lesson for me to be able to duplicate what he had.
Yeah.
To add anything else sometimes, just play.
It's often said a sign of a good player is how well they play a shuffle, and Joe's shuffle is epic.
Satch Boogie is a great song, and we had the opportunity to play that live when we were both with Mick. Joe had a moment. It was just Simon, Joe and myself.
Oh,
So
cool.
I was so happy to have that moment to play with Joe and Simon during Mick Jagger's solo tour. It was great.
Yeah.
So, and here we are right now. He's still in the game. He's still doing his thing. He's still on top of his game.
Yeah.
And
as are you guys.
well, that's it's just if you can sustain yourself through life, you have the opportunity to wake up and continue to do something that you love,
Yeah.
and be around people that that you're friends with, and I don't take that lightly. So Joe's a great friend. Always look forward to seeing him. We always have fun, and I owe him a new Tackhead hat.
So how have you navigated balancing the sideman session world and your commitment to being in a band? And sometimes those lines can maybe be a little bit blurred.
If you blur them yourself, if you sometimes need to be blurred. If the lines are drawn with ink, it's hard to erase ink. If it's drawn with chalk, it's a little bit easier. If you present yourself in a way of being honest, then you don't have to worry about your lines being blurred. You're being honest, and you're being able to commit to things that and you follow the commitment. Also, you find a way how to present yourself so that people can respect what you're doing, and you respect what they're doing, and don't get pulled into something that you can't do or fulfill. Stay honest. There's plenty of players out here. Hook up some of your mates if you can't do something. You got to survive in this industry. So I grew up as a studio musician. There's a start right there. Grew up playing with bands. I built my career off of putting myself in situations that I was uncomfortable with to become comfortable, and working with outside of necessarily the same structured music. And that being said, I invested in the next generation. So a person that's 16, I'm playing and helping them out just like anybody else that might be older than them. It's just it's music, and you find your community, you find your family, you embrace it, and you just stay honest and real. And some folks can either deal with the fact that you might say, hey, I'll cut some songs for you, but I can't join the band. Or I'll help in a way where I can maybe find a platform and find other musicians that can balance things up. Because it's cycles, man. Something happens, somebody wants you to do a record, you do the record, there's hope and promise, and the next thing you know, it blows up. And then it goes to a whole other level. And I've been a part of that. Then the other things is it doesn't turn out the way that you might have expected it to turn out, but you did it. You still got the job done. So as I learn, I try to share that knowledge with folks that are on the come up and be able to give them some support for both sides of the coin. Have a life while you're doing these records. Be prepared for the left and the right to come together, or the left to stay left and the right to stay separate for a long time, and find a way how to deal with that. That means sometimes things work out when you're doing a project, sometimes things don't. Doesn't is when things can collapse. That's when the blame game starts. So no, just be kind and be mindful that these are just moments in time. If you stay stuck in pause, that's on you. But if you find a way how to continue to stay fluid and move forward, then that's a learning experience, and you can carry the negative or positive frequencies over to the next spot if you choose to, or not. But and what I've learned is just answer the phone. Don't avoid folk. If you're going to do a job, be prepared. Go in prepared. Don't put yourself above or below somebody else's vibe. Give a person what they want. Do your research. It's like a magician. magician will have to, in order for him to pull those tricks off, he has to practice it a lot. You know, so practice how you approach and deal with the situations at hand, and also make sure that your execution is from the heart, and you can give a person what they need. And it's not all about notes all the time. It's not. That's part of it. Sometimes people just need a hug. You need to have a conversation with somebody so that they can, you know, they can get through a moment where there's a spark that can create a new song or new idea, or it's something that you see. There's some yellow cards or yellow lights flashing. Hang on a minute. Let's pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So to me, how do I work? I navigate. All of those things are part of the industry. You know, making the songs and doing all of that stuff are easy. It's all to a point.
Yeah.
To a point. But it's all of the yang 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 and all the other things that goes on that can be, or you know, that can make things challenging. And I'm still learning how to just, you know, walk between those sonic raindrops. Watch out for the laser beams. And that's how I survive, just by, you know, being honest with everybody. Maybe I can do this tour. I'm not holding the line to, you know, to being greedy. I got this gig, it's mine. Nothing's mine. If I can do that, cool. If not, then there's many other folks that I'd like to see doing that. I'm in Living Colour. I'm also in Tackhead. I have my own band. Will and I have Head Fake. We have Jungle Funk. Some things are active, some things aren't active. There's little acts. There's Bernard Fowler that I work with. There's Adrian Sherwood. I can go down a list of all these active cells, right, that are just there. Some have transitioned, but their frequencies are still there. So I guess I've just been able to be around people that understand how to enjoy life, make records, and also avoid some folks that are just, you know, that don't have, let's just say, good human skills. You know, just sometimes you just need basic human skills to survive, get the call. But also avoid some of the things that you know are that's just, you know, you don't necessarily have to, you don't have to loot those frequencies anymore. You can see it, and some things you can help out a person, other things you can't. So I just keep it real. I'm like, hey, you know, people send me songs, I'm happy to play on them.
Yeah.
Happy to help somebody out. And that's life to me. You know, I don't have sometimes it's not about a number. It's about help that person. Help them. As opposed to, well, you gotta pay me this and the other. You know, if the money's there, fine. If it's not, it's more than fine. Because I'm happy where I am. I've done enough music to know that I'm not dependent on sticking that person up for whatever to make a record. You know, so that's a good place. I'm in a good place. I'm happy to be in that place. So that's how I deal with it, by show by example. Don't watch what you watch, listen, process, help and assist, and keep it moving.
Yeah. So Stain is obviously a massive album in your career and Living Colour's career. And when it came out, what was it, 96?
93.
93. I remember seeing it, not in 93, a little bit later on, but I remember seeing the video for Auslander on this. It was like a heavy metal, you know, video show, right?
Video show, right?
Yeah, and so it was kind of, you know, in between Metallica and Megadeth and stuff, and then Auslander came on, and it just whipped my head around, you know, because I was starting to get into bass as well, and I had this groove and this kind of undertone that was different from everything else. And so I wanted to ask you about, like, did you guys have a plan or a goal for Stain? Like, you know, you get songs like Bye on there and a whole, you know, really heavy topics that other bands that you were kind of being associated with weren't really dealing with. But here you are with all of this stuff wrapped up in an amazing package.
Well, it's a good question. When I got in the band was now going into another phase of their career, but it was also kind of continuing in the realm of what Living Colour is all about, which is diversity.
Yeah.
All of the records have been unique. Is there a consistent pattern? Is there throughout the theme of all Living Colour records? Yeah, the consistency is things being different, in a sense. Cult is cult, you know? And then now you move on to Time's Up, and Time's Up had its frequencies, but then you had A Love Rears Its Ugly Head, or Solace of You. Now it's time, 93, it's a different frequency happening right now in America. The Seattle scene is kicking in, like you said. There's stuff coming from Nirvana and Metallica is, is on the rise, and Megaforce and whatever. But the thing is, Living Colour has always been a band that has been it's like these chapters of what's happening at the moment. We're like the news with the beat. At that moment, I'm in the band. At that moment, there's a different mindset of what's going on, but it's still following from the same gene pool of what was happening, where it all started, which really boils down to Vernon. Vernon put the band together, and it was his concept and his primary songs that set the pace for Living Colour. And over time, how Vernon, Will, Corey, and Muzzy helped translate those songs is how things evolved. When I got in the band, it was, which Will got me in the band, it was now the band is evolving again. I brought a sense of experience when it comes to certain things, and frequencies when it comes to certain things. So we were able to get together and start from frequencies and ideas to get to what became Stain. And it's just like anything else. Get in the room, work it out, play some ideas. Vernon might have had some ideas, chop it up. Maybe I add this or take away from that or whatever. So you just gotta start. And that's what we did. We had a space in Queens. We go there during the week. We work things out. We'd log information, so on and so forth. That went on. That was a process. Then we auditioned. We not auditioned, but there were different producers that we were fortunate enough to meet and greet and hang out with, and then Ron St. Germain became the producer for that project. But we were able to make connections with some of the other producers and do other things with them as well. So it was a sequence of events, repetition, ideas, where the state of the country was and the world was in at that time. Again, like the news with a beat. So you're talking about a song like Bye, it's very unique. Some people don't want to talk about those things. Living Colour's been that band that, hey, let's have that conversation. Yeah. Ignorance is bliss, let's have that conversation. Wall, let's have that conversation. So it became, some people could say it was a darker period, and so on and so forth. To me, it was a wonderful period. It was a wonderful moment in time for myself and Living Colour to be able to continue to make music, as opposed to that could have easily got knocked on the head. Maybe the Living Colour would have been just Vivid Time's Up and Biscuits. You never know how things unfold with bands. But I knew Vernon, for a while and was friends with him, and he'd come and hang out at Keith LeBlanc's house and in his place down in New York. And before Will and Corey met him, we were mates. So there's a synergy that was already there. There was a frequency that was happening. And we just, there was energy that was already in place. I was, fortunate enough to be able to connect Mick and Living Colour with Vernon and so on and so forth. But that's all on the side. So the energy started to move forward, and Stain was produced. Stain is the baby that came out of that, and it was, in my opinion, it was how things unfold in life. Sometimes what you're familiar with at that time becomes, when you start to do something that might be a little bit different, it takes a minute for you to understand what was happening at that particular time. Maybe if you can live 10 years later, you can look back and go, oh,
hindsight.
You start to understand, hang on a minute, I love this, but now I can understand why y'all did that. And that's what you hope happens for some folks, a discovery, or those that are like, those are the real hardcore fans that maybe like certain things, and then they come back and go, you know what? I was so engaged in what I wanted to hear, I couldn't accept what was happening at that time. But now I can, because I get it. I've matured, or my ego, has been of what I wanted y'all to be has come down now. Maybe I got kids, and maybe I got something else that's going on. Now I can listen to it with a freer head than that kid that was in the dorm.
Yeah.
So Stain is that record that, in my opinion, was essential to happen. And I'm glad I was there to make it, because now, as I listen back, it's like a work of art. All the Living Colour records are great, but the sound of that record is very unique.
Yeah.
And the mixing that Ron St. Germain did all made sense. The aggressive approach and the actual beauty of what took place we crafted that quite well.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
In my opinion, when you listen to it, it sounds just as fresh today, in my opinion, as it did then. It's how you sequence a record. It's the band became more mature. The band had been on the road. Now you can settle and you can start to dive into some other frequencies, because that's the kind of band Living Colour has always been. It's an experimental band. We've learned from, you've learned from what's around. You follow the frequencies, or you just continue to, deliver certain things that are comfortable. And if that's the band that you're in, fine. Living Colour obviously isn't that band.
Yeah. No.
There you have it.
Yeah.
So Stain was great.
Totally. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the cover songs that you guys do. I mean, we're in Australia, and I know on one of the albums you did a cover of Back in Black.
Yeah.
How does the cover songs things come up?
Oh, we just taking a piss. We could be having a conversation. All of a sudden, why don't we do that? It happens that quick.
Right.
It's just like, okay, what about that? Maybe we're on a bus and we heard Back in Black. Man, that would be great to do that. Yeah. And and just do it. It's like, it's as simple as that.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
There you go.
A lot of things come, spirit of the moment, do it. Does it make sense? Probably not. But we do it.
And you guys are all capable enough of kind of swinging all kinds of different directions musically.
That was a day or 2 days tops.
Yeah.
That was something that took place, and maybe we just went over it a couple of times, and everybody learned the parts, and off we go.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of Living Colour. We'll go, okay, let's shift. Okay, what about that? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And you figure it out, and you cut it probably the same day or the next day.
But does that filter into the live shows as well?
Oh yeah, the live shows really work out good for us now, because we take some of the songs and we've been able to work out arrangements that happen by what somebody would call a mistake. Playing live is the best frequency for to be able to get things popping. So our live presentation of certain songs is wonderful, in my opinion, because we've managed to make these moments happen that everybody goes, oh yeah, that's cool. Oh no, man, that's kind of crazy, but I like that. But let's use that craziness there, So without us playing live, we wouldn't have the frequency that we have when we go on stage now. There's some songs that are played kind of the way they are, and other songs that have been kind of put together because we jammed them out on stage. And we've maybe at the end of a song, we came up with a certain groove, and then we insert that someplace. I don't even know how it happens. Yeah. It just happens. Now, and that's the beauty of it. Because
the music kind of tells you where to go.
Some things just happen, and it sticks. And we've come up with these different little arrangements. So, and that's what's good, because we don't really rehearse anymore to a point. If you don't know the music by now, Jesus Christ, what's going on here, mate? So if you want to rehearse to the point of like, yo, man, you made a mistake and all that stuff. Come on. So what brings life to it is the fact that Will might miss a beat, but I'll try to clean it up. But then that means that the next time it happens, maybe that, there's something that's in there. Why did he do that? And I'll join in, and then we'll take that piece and join that to the main frame of something. Yeah. So all these nice little things that somebody calls a mistake, they're not mistakes to me, unless it's very obvious. You know what I mean? Some things are like, okay, we're playing 4 different keys. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is that's Living Colour. We're an organic band, play in the moment. We challenge each other. We're having more conversations about, whatever's going on. The next thing you know, we go on stage and have fun. We're not necessarily getting our wig twisted because of this, that, or the other. If there's anything that we deal with, we're challenged with is what songs are we going to play and how are we going to sequence our show based on that. So,
and maybe we could quickly talk a little bit about gear. How did Spectre come into your life, and why is it kind of stuck with you? Why is it kind of you're kind of synonymous with
right? Yeah, good question. Bases. Well, I was introduced to Spectre by way of Aaron Mills from Cameo. When I saw him play Spectre bass back in 1980-81, when Sugarhill Gang was out on the road with Rick James, or we used to do these big festivals. Anyway. So I saw him playing a Spectre bass, and I was like, wow, that sounds great. It was a passive Spectre bass, but it sounded great. We're playing arenas and stadiums and all. It just had that to it. So that was the beginning. And then fast forward, I would see a Spectre bass in Guitar Player magazine. I couldn't afford one. I was just happy to maintain my Fender Jazz. So I got hooked up with Spectre by way of Jeff Beck. Again, it was a default.
Wow.
Spectre was now acquired put it like this, Spectre went from being a boutique company in Brooklyn to being acquired by what was the name of that brand? Eddie Van Halen's guitar, Kramer. Kramer bought out, Spectre for a moment. And now I'm with Mick Jagger, and we're doing a recording for his second solo record. Jeff and I are doing working with Mick. And Jeff's a hot item. So, wherever Jeff would go, people would just show up with guitars, and, it's kind of crazy. So anyway, one day, word got out that guys from Kramer wanted to show Jeff some guitars. So they showed up to SIR with a bunch of guitars. Jeff kind of checked them out, nice color, and he kind of was, he just kind of moved on because he's into what he's into, right? It's kind of interesting moment. Pierre de Beaupart was the kind of person that brought some of these things together, and the guy by the name of Jim Barber, if I remember right. Anyway, they were techs that were working with Mick. So at that moment when Jeff saw the guitars, kind of kept moving. It was kind of like a silent moment. You come in, you got all these guitars. Hey, Jeff, check out the guitars. And then Jeff comes in. Wow, man. That was nice color. Okay. And he kept going. I was like, oh. So then there was that moment of silence for 10 seconds that sounded like an eternity.
Yeah.
Spectre was now part of Kramer, so Pierre de Beaupart was like, hey, Dougie's interested in your Spectre basses, and that's exactly how it happened. So at that time, because I'm working with Mick Jagger, so that was a key. Working with Jeff Beck, that was a key. Spectre was still in the come up. They wasn't like, okay, yeah, we're gonna put you on and blah, 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 blah. They had like a loaner bass. That, okay, you're interested in playing a Spectre bass?
They didn't trust you yet.
Here, use a loaner bass. Let's see how it works out for you. So I got the loaner bass, immediately started recording with it. You know, the neck was a bit big, but the sound, it sounded great. It was, you know, PJ configuration, HasLab, preamp, it was killer. Mick liked it, the engineers liked it, everything, the producer liked it, Keith Diamond, and so on and so forth. So that started the ball rolling. Because I'm working with Mick, they let me hold on to the bass because we're recording the record. It's good look for them, it's good look for me. So then that turned into, okay, you know, Mick Jagger's got a solo tour coming up. Another good look. Hey, Doug, now we'd like to, make a bass for you. What do you want? So that's how it started. Jeff Beck was the spark. Mick Jagger was the lure. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, making the records. Everybody liked the sound. Next thing you know, fast forward, I'm in Neptune, New Jersey, and with Stuart Spectre, and we're measuring up necks and doing so on and so forth. So, yeah, I got to thank Jeff. I got to thank Mick. I got to thank the actual techs that were behind the scenes pushing it through, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But I was really digging the Spectre basses. So, started there. I had asked when I was presented with the opportunity to have some instruments made for me, I requested to Stuart if he could shave the neck down to make it a little more like a jazz bass neck, and he did. Took a minute, but he did. So that's the 4-string I have out there right now, and it made the body a little more unique and so on. Then I got a 5-string from him, and he had just started making 5-string. Well, maybe let's just say, let me rephrase that. It was early. He was early in the game of making 5-string basses. This is 1987. Got a 5-string. Then he made a 4 fretless and a 4-string with 2 jazz pickups in it. And so in other words, I had 4 key golden era Spectre basses, the 2 that are out there right now, which is a 5-string with 2 jazz pickups. And back then, the EMG didn't have 5-string pickups, so they were using like 4-string rear pickups with 1 element. And that's what's on my basses. That's what made it sound. That's why that bass has that unique sound. It's not individual. The pickups are individual poles. It's 1 element.
Right.
2 rear jazz pickups. So there's that.
So that it fit across the strings.
Yep, they fit straight across the strings. And, you know, I learned a lot over the years of what went into making those instruments, because as time progressed, things changed. But that's how it started, man. And once you find an instrument that sounds that good and it's made well, you're in the studio, you don't have to, there's no buzz happening now. You don't have to, turn over. When I was in New York City, you'd put alligator clips on the bridge, take a wire, put that to the knee desk or whatever. I'm in New York, I have to face away from the Empire State Building, because it's crazy. But that's what used to take place. Now I could just play without a lot of buzz going on.
Yeah. And you know every inch of those basses. You know how to get all the sound.
You know every inch of those basses, and those are very unique. Those are unique instruments. So in time, things change, and I'm an old school head. I like the old school Gumby head stocks, and the Spectre first came out with, and I'm looking forward to moving the dial with some of Doug Wimbish versions that are going to come out that are going to bring back the old school traditional vibe.
Nice.
Because it's needed.
Yeah.
Totally.
One last question.
Yep.
If you could jump back in time and give young Doug a bit of advice, what would that be?
I would say that's a very good question. If I could, I would say, keep following your dreams. You're going to get there, as long as you're happy with whatever you're doing. And that's all I ever did. Now here I am right now. I've followed my dreams. Things didn't come easy. It wasn't like things were gifted. I had to work for it.
Yeah.
It came hard work, sacrifice, family, friends. I put countless hours into this craft and doing things. I'm very dedicated. And there was times when, you can get engaged in certain things that will sidetrack you, but you have to make sure that that's why there's a reset button that everybody has. If you know how to hit it, to stay focused and you'll get there. So that would be the advice, because I followed my heart. I didn't get tangled up with being a part of any one particular crew. Music is endless, and it's infinite. So I let the music take my mind where I needed to go. I learned by being around people that gave me inspiration. I learned by being around people that gave me negative frequencies and could still stay positive. So go back to young Doug, stay the course. Have an open heart. Don't change anything. Just make sure you show up for yourself. Don't get drunk on the illusion of what this industry can produce. Find a way how to survive and stay in love with this music, just like I did when I first started off. I love playing music. I get up every day. I have the same love for it, and that's what I love right now. So I'm thankful that Doug was able to drive to this Doug right now. And the road hasn't been straight, but you know what? Every curve I've learned something. Don't go that way, go this way. I gotta back up a little bit. Okay, hang on a minute. So, now I gotta back up so I can figure out which I can have a better look at which way to go. But dude, it's been a hell of a ride. But it's been a good one, man. It's I look at all the folks that I've been able to meet, and they're not all musicians or players. It's just but the diversity of what I've been able to do, from doing all the Sugarhill stuff to being involved with Tackhead, being at the forefront of industrial music, and and doing things with the same crew: Keith LeBlanc, Skip McDonald, Adrian Sherwood, Bernard Fowler. I made a lot of music, not by myself, but with friends. I'm not the architect, I'm the recipient. For years before I got involved with Living Colour. And it's all of that never stopped. It wasn't like I joined Living Colour, everything else is out the window. No. Everything enhanced. Same folks that I was working with, I brought into the Living Colour camp. The same folks from Living Colour camp, I would introduce to other folks that I've had that experience with. That's life. That's how you can stay excited, by just making those connections and not kind of acting like, oh, now I got this connection, so now I'm cool, or I'm okay, that person that I knew before, look at how I look now. Check me out. No. Let's all eat. Let's all get some of this knowledge and this love. So that's what that Doug is the same, pretty much same DNA to the core, because I'm still doing the same things. I'm still trying to hook folks up. I'm still learning. I'm still learning, and I'm still playing catch up for some of the things that I spent a lot of time in this craft, and then sometimes you don't have the opportunity to do some things that you should do. That's what musicians do, but there's no excuse. Go back and do the things you were supposed to do. One thing COVID did, which was a horrible thing, what took place. But for me, it was a thing where, I had to be at home, and it's the first time I had time off since I was for 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been grinding since I was 16 to 17 years old, and it's a constant grind, 4 kids, 4 grandchildren. Wow. So if it's anything, it's like I had a chance to go, okay, it's how's everybody doing? Who can we help? Who needs help? Let's look after those folk. Mom, dad, whatever, things changed, people transitioned, but I was able to go, okay, I'm all right. Who needs help?
Yeah.
I'm okay. Who needs help? What can I do? And it's not waving a flag. So the same Doug that was there then, I came from family and friends, and we always looked after each other. And those family and friends I still have to this day. So, when there's people in need, you get together, you help them. Put yourself in the back burner. Yeah. Just help. So, yeah, thank you, Doug, from the past, and thanks to my family and those folks that I grew up with that helped me. I'm not the architect, I'm the recipient. It's not, no, man, I had people help, and I appreciate their help, and I love that, and I appreciate helping other folks from the heart, not some, oh man, look at what I'm doing. Let me help that folks so I can get some more shine. Screw that. I want us, those kids that I saw today, that's coming from the heart. When I'm talking to them, I'm keeping it 100. You know what I mean? But in a way that I can connect with them, because I got kids.
Yeah.
They're the next generation.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see them on stage do their thing. Why not? You know, give them that knowledge. Share that. Look a person in the eye and have a good, honest conversation with them. Without all that, stars are in the sky, they fall out sometimes. So that Doug got me to this Doug, and I'm hoping that
this Doug
can keep going on, and whatever that Doug created for this Doug, I hope that information can be shared for the end of time.
Awesome, man. Well, I am so happy to be the recipient of today, the clinic. This has been special, and the gig tomorrow, I'm sure, will be heaps of fun. So I really appreciate you taking time. I know it's been a massive
Thank
day.
you for what you do, sharing information, and also checking out and interviewing all of these great musicians and bass players, all mates. You know what I mean? We're all eating and breathing out the same air. Yeah. Thank you, man. Because everybody needs that support.
It's a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Peace.